okay, the lighting is awful, and that's what it's gonna be for this. You know, I'm so gay like this. Anyway, but I just wanted to share with you all first my chocolate miss because there was. I'm wondering if I turn the light off above me, will it make it better? But no, it'll probably make it worse. So maybe I'll do this. Okay, I'll do this for a little bit. But my chocolate miss, the gorgeous chocolate man who just delivered my DoorDash, he also was rocking out with the legs out because we are approaching summer and well, we're just getting into spring. I'm not going to skip spring. And I am a leg man personally. And I wish against wish that I was able to get like a better look at his legs because, oh my gosh, I know they were beautiful. I know they were beautiful. They were so beautiful. And chocolate, dipped in dark chocolate. But for reasons I will not go into. See, I'm showing my chest, and you all might be getting pieces of lip time with me. And sorry if so, that's not my intent. This is not my OnlyFans page by any means. But speaking of my nips, before I get into Kevin Samuels, I remember when I was a kid in junior high school, kids used to make fun of me for the fact that I have man boobs, which I do. They've affectionately been referred to as moobs. They are also clinically diagnosed as it's gynecomastia, and I went to a doctor when I was younger. I don't need to go into all of that, but ultimately I kept them, and I guess it was worthwhile because once I got to my thought days in college, I found out that a lot of dudes, not necessarily all of them, but a lot of dudes in the gay community, like sucking on a dude with moves and sucking on the titties. It's not titties. It's a thing, but a lot of gay dudes like sucking down there on them and playing with them, and that would turn me on a lot. Anyway, Kevin Samuels. So, what a transition, right? How many minutes? Three. Okay. Really quickly on Kevin Samuels. I have been watching a lot of his stuff lately because part of and it's not that I'm one of those posthumous people who becomes interested in a celebrity after they pass away just because they passed away. Because honestly, I started getting wind of him right before he passed away. And I was like, huh, he's interesting. Okay. And my one of my lesbian friends up here, she was explaining how she actually likes watching his programming. And I'm like, that's interesting. Okay, because people act like he's so anti-black woman. And it's like, I don't think he's that. I think that his advice can be very harsh, but he had over 1 million followers because some people must be receiving something from him. And a lot of what he has to say makes sense, and I receive it from the woman's perspective because at the end of the day, I, like the woman, am looking for a man. And sometimes his advice is harsh, but he, one thing that I love about his show is it seems like a lot, if not the majority, of people who were his callers were women like right around my age range, between mid 30s and early 40s. And I'm like smack in the middle of that. And in my late 30s. And I like hearing the advice he gives. I don't think I'm one of those people who's like my standards are so high. I only want to date because some of the women who call, oh my gosh, total side note, Shit Creek, the show, love it. And but some of the women who, hmm, who call in, it's like the reason I thought about Shit Creek was one of the scenes that I love. The mother was with the son, and they were watching somebody who was promoting some multi-level marketing scheme, and she was like, "If you join us, you can make $75 million a year. That's over $10 million a month, which is more than $55,000 a week." And the mother was like, frustrated. She was like, "This woman didn't even graduate high school." And she said it with such class and elegance, "This woman didn't even graduate high school." Sorry. Just because her numbers were so far off. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's funny. But as far as the women who come on Kevin Samuel's show, it's like I watched one with one woman talking about how she wants him, and it's so, and society's expectations have a lot to do with it. And I always talk about how I'm happy I'm a gay man and don't have to deal with so much of society's expectations in my relationships. Society has a lot to do with this. So some of the women who call in, I was watching one woman talk about how she specifically is saving, she's in her, I think she was a mid 30s person like me. Well, I can't claim that name. I'm 38, about to be 39. But she was talking about how she wants a man who she won't settle for a man who makes any less than $400,000 a year. And she's like, it's fair. And and I think part of this connects to what my college professor said years ago in one of my freshman classes, maybe it was sophomore year. But she was like, women, and she was a doctor. She was a doctor with a husband. And she was like, women, particularly black women, because I went to an HBCU, Howard University represent. Thank you, Kamala Harris, vice president. No, I went there well before she was vice president. Anyway, but thank you for the pride, the added pride. Anyway, Howard people always represent Howard. Okay, yes we do. And she, the woman who called into the show was saying that she wouldn't accept a man who made less than $400,000 a year. And I spoke with a guy once years ago, and this wasn't even at a personal encounter. This was a one-on-one encounter with a dude who made that kind of money working for NASA and he was like 20 something at that time. And the only reason I know all of that is because I was working in for Nielsen, and in that capacity, part of what we did was gather households' demographic information. And he was explaining that, yeah, I live with my parents and I work for NASA, and I make $400,000 for 6 months of work with them. And then I'm home, and then I go back, make $400,000 again. And it's like, oh, okay. And he was actually a really nice guy. Anyway, all of that to say, that was my only encounter with somebody who specifically stated making $400,000. And that was his salary, $400,000 for 6 months worth of work. And I still remember with him, I was like, dang, it's unfortunate because there are people out there who will pass him up because he lives with his parents, not realizing that he lives with family, not because he's broke, because he's far from broke, but he just so happens to live with family, and he's also making $400,000 every 6 months. Anyway, but yeah, I've taken myself on so many tangents. I'm gonna close them up and end this. But what connected me to my college professor was, she said to the women in the class, she was like, "Women, FYI, I'm a doctor, and I found my husband in college. And FYI, if you don't find your husband in college as a Black woman, statistically, you will not find a husband. Period." And that's so. I thought about something else, but I'm not going to. I'm going to keep it in my mind. Um, but Kevin Samuels was explaining that as a woman, and he did say specifically a Black woman, and it's unfortunate the way this goes. But as a woman rises up in her career and rises her income, she becomes less desirable for the man, because again, society tells a man that he is supposed to make more than the woman. He is supposed to be the breadwinner, blah blah blah. And that's why I say I'm glad I'm a homosexual man who does not have to deal with that as it is. Anyway, I don't have such expectations for my men. I have dated men all over the financial spectrum. Anyway, yeah, but he said, women, as you raise your income, your prospects decline. And that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. And part of what he said, which I'm like, okay, I guess I get that, is just because your money goes up, you are still being sexually used because you're not a virgin and you're older. And he's like, your baby making hips and ability decline with age. And it's like, ouch, that is really tough. But as I watch him, I always think about my lesbian friend who said that she actually enjoys his stuff. And I can imagine, because I think she's like the dom. So she was receiving it like a woman. Anyway, wow. I don't need to theorize. But as it relates to me, it's like it helps me put in check my standards, if you will. And sometimes, huh, because I've never been the kind of guy to be like, oh, you are beneath me. I've never been that guy. it's particularly in dating. And you don't make enough. I need $400,000 a year. And to close that, what I connected that to Shit Creek is somebody who called in the show was like, yeah, I need a man making six figures, like at least $75,000 a year. And, and Kevin Samuels was like, $75,000 is not six figures. And she was like, oh, well, sorry, sir. And that's the thing. The women who call into the show are so demure to him that it's like that's so interesting because I see myself as the passive man in the relationship. So I guess to a degree, that's kind of like me thinking about myself with my man. Anyway, but yeah, how many minutes? 16. We're over the 15 mark. I'll be in before the 20. So yeah, I think that was about it. And yeah, like I started this whole video off, the gorgeous dark chocolate man. Uh, who delivered my DoorDash. And sorry if you all got some nipple time, but who delivered my DoorDash. I didn't get to stare at his legs or catch a good strong image in my mind to store and keep me going for a while. Anyway, talk to y'all later, social media family. Peace, tea, stay blessed. And do subscribe to hashtag Verse TV. Our guest this week was none other than the amazingly accomplished writer, producer, film director, all of that. Damien Omar Lee of Noble Film Works. Check it out. www.bersteav.com. Peace, tea, love, stay blessed. Why is okay? I'm trying to center this. Okay.